Hi and welcome to the capital of Timor-Leste. I'm in Dili and I'm at the home of the Malaysian Embassy to Timor-Leste. We will be speaking to DATO AMARJIT SINGH, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to Timor-Leste, to get his thoughts on Timor-Leste becoming a member of ASEAN. We're going to walk right in and speak to him about what's happening here in Dili. Dato' Amarjit, thank you so much for taking time off to do this with us, and thank you for hosting us here in Dili, Timor-Leste. Now, it's great to be here with the team and to also see the work the embassy does firsthand. But I'd like to start here. From your vantage point in Dili, how do you describe the relationship between Malaysia and Timor-Leste? Dato'.
Thank you, Gerard. Thank you for coming. Thank you for this honor. From where I stand, relations between Malaysia and Timor-Leste can be seen as brotherly relations. Relations that started way before the independence of Timor-Leste. Relations which have no strings attached, so to speak. We are very sincere, we are very serious about wanting to assist Timor-Leste, and I think all that we have done, our actions speak for that.
You say no strings attached. Can you give me an example of what that means?
You know, all we want to do is have a Timor-Leste that is self-sufficient, independent, and able to integrate in the region. And we've from the beginning we have concentrated, focused on capacity building. We have identified that as one area which we can assist Timor-Leste with, and we don't ask for anything. I mean, you look at Malaysian businesses or Malaysian involvement in Timor-Leste. We've got almost 250 Malaysian entities who are running businesses here. But you can't say the same about Timorese entities in Malaysia. So we don't put that as a precondition that in order for us to do this, you need to invest so much in our country. Now we don't do all that. We want you to concentrate on what's important to you and concentrate on your nation building, and then join us as we integrate into ASEAN.
When you first came to Timor-Leste, when you were first posted here, and when you looked around the landscape, the rough terrain, the people, I mean, what went through your mind then? Of course, you're trained to move from one country to the next, but when you came here, what struck you the most?
This is going to be a challenge. That was my first thought in my mind. But given the very warm and close rapport between Malaysia and Timor-Leste, I mean, the people are just fantastic. I've never spoken so much of Portuguese in the last 2 years, although it's just the greetings, good morning and thank you and all that. Everybody greets you wherever they meet you. Then it itself shows me the sincerity of the people of Timor-Leste. I've ticked one box, which means we can work with our Timorese brothers and sisters. When I came, I already knew by then that ASEAN was on the agenda. So I said, let us now focus on that. Whatever we are doing bilaterally, we will do. And ASEAN will be, the focus for my first 2 years here.
Now, in your experience, or with what you've gathered here as experience, working as the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary for Malaysia to Timor-Leste, which areas of cooperation have made the biggest difference so far?
If I can mention one, it's definitely higher education. Before this, the number of Timorese students proceeding to Malaysia for higher education was very small numbers, and most of them are all on daddy and mummy scholarships. We engaged with the Ministry of Higher Education, with the government. We told them that, if you're not aware, there's so much that we can do in the sphere of higher education in Malaysia. And cost was one of the biggest factors, because they have got limited resources and they need to train big numbers in the shortest period of time. And so beginning last year, the 30 plus government-sponsored students proceeded to Malaysia.
Why the influx?
Because of efforts of the embassy. If you ask me, I will claim credit for it, because it didn't happen before this. But we engaged with the right people. We identified what was the reason for this. We identified ignorance as being one of the biggest issues. The other, of course, was connectivity. which we were already, there was already work in progress by then to have direct air connectivity between Kuala Lumpur and Dili. So even before that, they sent 31 because it made perfect sense to them. For the cost of one in Europe or in Australia, they can fund 2 or 3 in Malaysia. And with the cultural similarities, with the 4-hour flying time, it was just something that they couldn't deny. And I was very surprised actually, because I knew that for that year, they had already decided on what to do for their cohort of students. And when the minister came back, he says, no, I am asking them to be sent to Malaysia this year. And next year, the number will be doubled, which is this year.
And what were the advantages? They acclimate faster? Because this, from what I understand, is a Lusophone country and they've got 4 languages spoken here. So how is Malaysia important in this sense where education?
Yeah, I mean, bahasa is spoken everywhere. Right. You can never go wrong with bahasa. Nasi or rice is the staple both in Malaysia and here. And I think parents feel very confident having their kids not too far away. In those days you just need to transit in Bali or Singapore and get to Malaysia. So and then cost was the other thing. For $10,000-12,000 you get to complete a 3-year program. It was unbelievable to them. And I spoke about the power of the $10 bill. I said, this $10 bill will get you 4 meals in Malaysia. And they didn't believe me. And after the minister came back, he says, you're right, Ambassador, Malaysia is the place to go. We are getting our first cohort there.
Now, when I came here, I had a lot of preconceived notions about what this place is, did a lot of reading up, spoke to a lot of people, and a lot of information that I received, I think, is sort of, we are overfed with information that may not be true about this country now. Its people, its direction, things that us outsiders may overlook about this country. What are some of the things that come about, or most frequently asked questions to you as the ambassador of Malaysia to Timor-Leste by Malaysians and people within the region?
Yeah, let me zoom into our private sector in Malaysia. Most common question, Ambassador, is there a list of priority projects, priority infrastructure projects that the Timorese government is attracting foreign investment? I tell them to put things in perspective. This is a 23-year-old country in the phase of post-conflict, right? A lot of things and everything, almost everything needs to be done, right from infrastructure. Everything is required. You talk about healthcare is required. You talk about higher education. You talk about technical education, also required. Skills or vocational training, everything is required. So I tell them, please come, have a look, have a feel of the place. I mean, the sheer fact that this country has received so many visits at the highest level, be it heads of state, heads of government, in all the preceding years that I've been here, is manifestation that there is something in Timor-Leste, something that needs to, that the outside world needs to know and get involved in. We've got over, for a small country like us, we've got almost 250 business entities. What about the other ASEAN partners of Timor-Leste? So it definitely, when at first reading, it may not look as something that's intriguing, but certainly after you probe a little further, maybe 2 or 3 visits, you will find. Because I asked our Malaysians here, why are you still here? Of course, there are certain, the grouses that we hear every now and then. It's using the US dollar. It's beginning to be expensive to operate. We have uncertainty in investment protection laws. So why are you still here? Well, it's the only US dollar economy within a 4-hour flying radius.
Mm-hmm. Now, Malaysia holds the ASEAN chair this year. And I think that the more important question is, how does that position Timor-Leste's part into the ASEAN family?
We have been supportive of Timor-Leste way before they achieved independence. And by we chairing ASEAN this year, we had the opportunity to steer the entire bloc into accepting Timor-Leste. Of course, the decision for membership lies in the summit, which is the supreme decision-making body. But as chair, every chair of ASEAN will have a little bit of leverage in setting the agenda, in setting the mood right, to get Timor-Leste, in this case Timor-Leste, into ASEAN. Looking back, I think we have done very well. And it's very well received by not only the Timorese government, by the Timorese people. Everywhere I go, I don't even know these people are. They come up to me and said, "You're the Malaysian ambassador. I saw you here. I saw you there. I want to say thank you. You've helped us to get this far into ASEAN." And I say yes, but there's still some work to be done. And I reciprocate the warm sentiments and say,
Is that a lot of pressure on the embassy itself, with Malaysia being the chair, for work to be done? I mean, how much more work do you need to do?
we are almost there at the finish line. There's been definitely an increase because before the ASEAN agenda came on board, the embassy an embassy like this will probably be occupied with bilateral perspective of relations. Ever since the ASEAN agenda featured, now definitely there is an addition, there is an increased workload. You're the first port of call when the Timorese leaders want to pass on a message, or they want to seek advice, or they're seeking your wise counsel on certain things. So the ambassador gets called in, is consulted and expected to convey. Sometimes not everything is conveyable in black and white. So you need an ambassador or an embassy to do that for you. And yes, there has been definitely added work for us, additional workload.
Right. I digress a bit, but on our arrival here, you were waiting for us at the airport, and lo and behold, we were not meant to meet the Prime Minister, but we met him, and thanks to you, that meeting with the Prime Minister happened at the airport. And having said that, I can see that the Prime Minister has he's very cordial with you, and he loves talking to you now. Tell us a little bit more about the President and the Prime Minister, because they're such huge figures here, and they're always with the people. Yeah.
Yeah, Prime Minister Shanana is a very cheerful person. I think the press had a glimpse of that during the first summit of the year in May in KL. Basically, for our relations, they date back, as I said before, independence. So much has happened. They remember all that we did, for Timor-Leste. The magic number for Timor-Leste and Malaysia bilateral relations is 32. Ask any person of our generation or generation before us, they will remember 32, because 32 is the number of military trucks that we gifted them when they were in time of need. In addition, we also assisted them with their embassy operations in Kuala Lumpur. So they remember all this. They are very grateful. And that's the reason, that's actually one of the main reasons why we are the envy of others, and we've been gifted this wonderful piece of land strategically located next to their Ministry of Foreign Affairs as early as 2002. So those relations till today, those events are well recalled and remembered. Malaysia, those days, even at that time, used to be a destination for for healthcare, for medical. The number of times Timorese leaders have gone, current president, previous president, prime ministers gone to Malaysia. So every time they went, they remember the hospitality that Malaysia and Malaysian leaders accorded. So I guess I'm the beneficiary of those warm sentiments and ties. President and Prime Minister, they complement each other very well. President Hota, as you know, is the Nobel laureate. His network extends way beyond this region, and he is the person primarily responsible to give Timor-Leste the foreign profile that it has got. Together with Prime Minister Shanana, they are a formidable team. I mean, look at the Pope's visit last year. There was absolutely no issues arose. There was so much speculation about possible internet outage, food shortage, water shortage, security concerns. 700,000 people converged in Delhi to be at the Mass with the Pope. Nothing happened. And we know because we are on the ground. So when we see that, if they want to do something, they will apply their mind to it and they will get it done. And I think ASEAN is one of it after the WTO membership last year. This year's ASEAN. And going forward, I think they are going to be looking into hosting ASEAN summit one day.
Right. Which brings to mind this question. Once Timor-Leste becomes a full member, what kind of impact do you think it will have on ASEAN as a whole? And that's a question which is being asked regionally or in the ASEAN bloc at this time, of members or just citizens living in ASEAN.
ASEAN has always been about diversity. Timor-Leste is going to bring with itself, an added diversity to ASEAN, having the Portuguese, cultural background and cultural fabric into ASEAN. we in ASEAN are going to have a bridge to the various other multilateral bodies or groupings. In this case, even the Community of Portuguese-speaking countries, CPLP. We are also going to have, a bridge to G7+, which is the platform for fragile states. Timor-Leste has been very involved in championing the causes under these platforms, on these platforms. And I think for ASEAN, it will open up room for collaboration beyond what we already have in the grouping.
Over the years, many Malaysians have contributed to Timor-Leste's development through teaching, training, or business partnerships. Before I ask you the question, I need to thank you for an amazing video the embassy has done, and we'd like to apologize for having overlooked that. And we're going to do one better. We're going to play it on Bernama TV if all goes well during the next meeting. We'd like to thank you for giving us that bit of information. Now, how do you see the value of these people-to-people links, especially Malaysians being here? You've got quite a community who's done some amazing work.
The contributions of our fellow Malaysians date back to even before we set up shop in Dili. Some of them have even been here way before independence. And we engage with them, we listen to them, we hear their perspectives. The Malaysian diaspora, Malaysian community here has clearly demonstrated that they are a reliable community of people for Timor-Leste. Even when there was unrest in the early days of Timor-Leste after independence, they continued to be here. And that's actually primarily the reason why when we were looking at ideas on how, what else we can do to sort of, their stories need to be told. And instead of waiting for it to happen some other way, we said, let us take an active role. Let us put them in the forefront of things and tell Malaysians, we want to entice the new generation of Malaysians to look at Timor-Leste. Very often I've been asked, they mistake Timor-Leste for Papua New Guinea. They're not even sure where Timor-Leste is. So I said, if I talk, I might be biased. Let them hear from the mouths of fellow Malaysians themselves who have been here. And our community seems to be the preferred group of people, either to be employed or to be partnered. The Timorese business people like to engage or employ Malaysians because they speak Mandarin, they speak Bahasa, they speak English, and they have a very admirable work culture. So that in itself, and this has been going on for more than 20 years. So the kind of contribution I would say is beyond words. It's just like you're just like one of us. It's just that you're holding a different passport. That's the kind of confidence. That's the kind of relationship that Timorese have got for Malaysians. And if you see the video Tabah di Timor, you will see that they're involved in a wide variety of things. Let it be IT, let it be electronics, let it be education. We have a big NGO here. The biggest NGO here is a Malaysian NGO. And it's received so much of recognition. So I would say immense contribution by our Malaysian community here. Kudos to them.
Right. And your message to SMEs and startups in the region, in ASEAN countries especially, looking at the accession of Timor-Leste into ASEAN and them coming and setting up shop here, what would you tell? What is your pitch to young startups? We've got some great startups in ASEAN.
You have to keep an open mind. Manage expectations. It's not going to be easy like what you have in other countries, but then wherever you have challenges, therein lies opportunities. So persevere and it will pay off.
Mm-hmm. Now, when I look at the work we're doing, I always think back of one person who's pushing very hard this year, and it's PMX himself. He's doing a lot of good work in pushing for the accession of Timor-Leste into ASEAN. Now, what would your message to Malaysians be back home about, and to friends in ASEAN and Asia about Timor-Leste? What would that be? Because you know the ins and the outs, the lay and the lie of this country. We've seen so much happen. The things I've heard yesterday when we were just having a conversation is mind-blowing. What would you like them to know in this broadcast now that we are closing in on this thing about Malaysia and its work being done for Timor-Leste as she joins ASEAN?
Timor-Leste has come a long way. Its timing to join ASEAN now, unfortunately, coincides with the trying time for the world. There is lots of global uncertainty out there. There's lots of talk about how development funding is going to be curtailed. I think herein lies a very important facet for us to consider. I would tell our people, now you need to redouble your efforts to collaborate with Timor-Leste. You need to redouble. If you're giving them 10 scholarships, make it 20. Because now, after joining ASEAN, is when they have to, integrate into the region effectively. And this is no time to abandon Timor-Leste. I even share this even with my colleagues outside of ASEAN. I tell them, if you are really thinking, I think you need to think twice, because this is a very critical juncture. You need to give them an opportunity to shine inside ASEAN. ASEAN is doing its best, and I think all other development partners, Timor-Leste has received tremendous support from development partners. They've done a fantastic job here. But I think if they are reviewing it, they need to give it some time after ASEAN accession.
Taba di Timor is the big video put together by the Embassy of Malaysia in Timor-Leste now. Not many Malaysians have seen it. A lot of people have watched it, but we want to reignite that spark of people understanding the work of Malaysians in Timor-Leste. Now, I know the voiceover was done by you. Very Morgan Freemanish.
Malaysians have been involved with life in Timor-Leste.
How did you put that together? The idea behind it? You could have easily done something working around the embassy. How do you put that together?
No, our government constantly looks at ways and means how we can galvanize the talent, the support of our diaspora abroad. And we had this new program called Program Synergy Rakyat Malaysia. So we were looking at ways and means how we can engage the community to do something beyond the usual, networking dinner or a lunch and all that. And I said, we've had so many gatherings. Let's do something that's not food related this time. Let's do something to recognize and acknowledge the role that's been played by our diaspora and community in Timor-Leste. And we spoke to the one who produced it itself. She is part of the diaspora. She's been here for a long time. I said, would you be willing to look into doing something like this with very minimal funding? And she said, no problem, Ambassador. Let's just get it done. And that's how we agreed on it. But the cast and all, I had to guide them on what angle to get from whom, because there's still a lot of untold stories. We've been hearing murmurings now. Right. They want a 2.0 sequel to it. I said, hold on first. Right. We'll look at it. Yeah.
But no, I mean, just by watching it yesterday, I understand that there was a lot of work put in with regards to pre-production, getting the content together, and I think that was done by the embassy. Establishing and ascertaining who's going to be interviewed and what they're going to talk about, and also mapping it together. And was that a lot of work? How many months of work?
This I think took almost 6 months, more than 6 months to put together. But the credit actually goes to the director who produced it. She put her team together. She managed to do things the way we wanted it. Of course, we were consulted, but the only thing is, my only regret was I didn't want any embassy involvement, neither to be interviewed or neither to be shown. But she put everything together, and she came back to me and I said, I have something important to ask you. I said, do I have to take a deep breath? And she says, well, maybe. We've got everything together, but we need a voice. So I said, okay, in the interest of getting it off the ground, I will lend my voice, and there you have it. The voiceover was done.
As the ambassador of Malaysia to Timor-Leste, your message to ASEAN, now that Malaysia is chairing ASEAN, we're already going to be passing the baton on very, very soon, but your message to everyone in ASEAN at this point?
Well, let's continue the good work that we've been doing in Timor-Leste. That would be my message. We need now to be more sector-specific on the best ways possible for us to assist them to integrate regionally.
Right. Sector specific, can you please dive into that a little bit more?
Public sector reform is an area which Timor-Leste needs to pay attention to, because many things in Timor-Leste are bottlenecked at the implementation level. The government, the leaders have got very good thinking, very good planning on what needs to be done. But as you know, any country in the world, such plans need to get the support of the civil service, who are going to be the implementers. So there is some work that needs to be done at the civil service level. So I would name civil service as one of the sectors that we need to. Perhaps productivity in the civil service is one area which we did very well. I remember when I was a student in secondary school, we had the productivity center, we had advertisements, we had media blades telling people the importance of making the best of your time, finding ways and means. Because I have to keep telling our Timorese friends, do not just look at our successes in other ASEAN countries. Look also at areas where we have not done so well, because you cannot afford, you have already lost so much time. You need now to catch up and then keep up with us so that we go forward, so that you don't slide backwards. So you need a kind of a leap, so to speak.
We've got about a minute left, and a lot of times when I move around Dili, I hear this one word, or these two words, greater sunrise. What does that mean?
Greater sunrise is what Timor-Leste is looking forward to as being its next major source of national revenue. It is a field out there between Timor-Leste and Australia, which both sides have been engaged in years of negotiation, whether to get the pipeline, land in the southern coast of Timor-Leste, or to Darwin in Australia. So that's probably what you've been hearing. Now with their current field, or their previous field, Bayu Undan, where resources have almost depleted, and this being a 90% oil and gas reliant economy, there is an urgent need to look for the next best thing, the next revenue of income for the country, the next, so to speak. So that's what Greater Sunrise is about. Prime Minister Shanana is very clear on what he wants done. He insists that the line needs to come to the southern coast, and what they term as the Tasimane development of the southern coast of Timor-Leste, technology transfer, exchange, develop the country and that southern coast in itself. When our Australian friends have a different contention, so therefore there is some negotiation going on. So that's what the Greater Sunrise is all about. We have 50 billion of revenue just potentially from that field, apparently. And again, it provides lots of opportunities even for our players to also get involved in the sectors that are connected.
With that, Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure and an honor to be here on the grounds of the embassy to do this interview with you. Hope to see you back in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all mine, Gerard. Thank you very much.